Hello and welcome to this video about how to create tables in Concourse. So Concourse offers the option to auto-generate your tables in 3 different sections. So those 3 sections are the grading scale, the breakdown, and the course outline. So you'll see in all 3 of those sections there's a little option with the green and the plus sign to start building a table in those areas. I don't really like any of those tables because I don't feel like they really serve faculty needs. And so I am going to show you what you can do instead to create your own accessible table in Concourse. But first I do want to also show you an example of why I don't like the ones in Concourse. You might decide you do like them. So I want to make sure you have all the table options available to you. So with that, let's go ahead and hop over to Concourse. Alright, and so today we're using this college algebra course as an example, again, in our test system, so I'm not doing anything that would mess up someone's real syllabus. But of course we entered Concourse in the view mode, so I'm going to go ahead and switch over to edit mode. And so here we are, and I will scroll down here to our first section of the table. So first thing I wanted to point out to you is that in our template, the placeholder text in the grading scale is just a bulleted list. And that's because one of our accessibility principles is to avoid tables if you have content that could be a list. But obviously, if you have more detailed information that belongs in the grading scale, you can absolutely create that content in a table. You could also make the argument, you can see here in our template, that I did go ahead and create a table for the breakdown section, and that is obviously just as simple as the information in the grading scale. The only reason I left it in a table was because I felt like most faculty are used to seeing this information in a table and formatting it into a table. But you could certainly put this in a bulleted list as well. Again though, I'm going to show you how to create a table so you can determine for yourself, how detailed the information is that you want to include. So the first thing to keep in mind in these sections, if you do want to create your own table and not use one of the existing ones, is to avoid using the green bar with the plus, because that's going to have you use the Concourse table builder tool. So instead you'll want to use the pencil. But in case you're a little bit skeptical about what am I so opposed to with the Concourse tables, I'm going to scroll down to the final one, which is the course outline. I don't know if I can scroll that. There we go. Okay, so the course outline one, because I feel like this example really kind of illustrates for you why I don't like it. So we're going to go ahead and pretend like we're just doing this. It's like, okay. So now Concourse, this is their table builder tool. And this is, hopefully you begin to see why I hate it, because it just took a whole lot of your information that we just entered into that web form, and it just put it all in that first column under this heading of when, which does not really seem appropriate to me, because it's telling you what, it's also telling you where. I don't feel like that information belongs there, and I don't really feel like most people will have things to put under notes. It would be nice to be able to manipulate this and change that heading, but you can't when you're using the Concourse tool builder. So in contrast, we will go ahead and just build our own table now. And again, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to use that using the pencil instead of the green button. So use that pencil, and we're going to go up here to the notes section. Okay, and you'll see this table drop down. And then it's this looks very similar to Word. You're just gonna figure out how many columns you want. I'll just do 4, and you can go ahead. It's as simple as this. You just start filling in your table. So I will just go ahead and put my topics here. So that's all of our information there, right, that we need for that table. So the next thing though, before I save out of this, you can kind of see, obviously, that is just going to simple table, easy to do, but there's a little trick to making sure that this is an accessible table, which we all know we need to do to ensure that our syllabus is accessible. So the thing to do now is we need to designate your header row as the actual header row, right? So we're going to highlight that in our document, and then we're going to go back to our tables dropdown, and you'll see now when we highlight it, we have a few other options. We're going to go to row, and then we're going to go to row properties, and by default it's going to give all the rows this row type of body, but we want this to be the header row now, so we're going to change that to header and hit OK. So now we have formatted our table for accessibility. I do want to also point out to you though that Concourse by default also pops out and gives you some of these other formatting options with your table. You know, like some of these are not a big deal, like inserting a row before or after, but you can also do some bad things like merging rows and things like that. I think we need right click. Anyway, we want to make sure that we avoid merging rows or splitting cells or anything like that that we know is bad for accessibility. In the description area below, I'm going to put a link to a tables presentation that I did for the Digital Accessibility Certification course. It's about 16 minutes long, but it will give you a lot of good information, helpful information, hopefully, about how to create accessible tables. So if you're looking for more information about that, I'll have that linked below. So at any rate, so I saved the table, and you can see how that's starting to come together. You can see we have this nice header row up top, and we get the nice zebra striping effect down below, which is so helpful for a lot of folks when you're trying to follow along in the table. All right, and that concludes our video about how to create your own table and your own accessible table within Concourse. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thanks.